comparison here. First, I'm going to show you one ocelot that is one of our historical preparations and was made in 1818. As you've seen, this ocelot looks a little bit strange. Ocelot is a kind of cat that lives in South America, and cats are very elegant animals, and this object doesn't look too elegant, let's say it that way. 1818, so at that time, photography, for example, was barely used. Nowadays it's hard for us to remember that because we have a smartphone with us all the time, but in that time it was like almost not used, and people needed like very huge like technical equipment to do like one photograph. There was one scientist who was very interested in this new medium, and his name was Charles Darwin. And I read this is a really like interesting information. He discovered photography actually during a summer holiday in 1886. And used it after for one of his first publications when he studied like facial expressions in men and animals. But not all of Darwin's contemporaries were so familiar with this medium. So the taxidermist who prepared this object, all he could use was skin and a fur that was brought back from a research trip and some sketches. So that was all that he had. And probably he had never seen this animal in person, so no idea how it really looked like, how the body form was, and so that's the result. If we would take this object and turn it around, we would probably see like a vertical line on the belly, and we can guess that underneath the skin and fur of this old historical ocelot, there's straw tied together. And with this old technique, you could get very good results if you had lots of reference material. So in this case, not too much reference material. Different in the case behind. This is an ocelot that was made much later in 1934. This ocelot was made by two taxidermists, Gerhard Schröder and his good friend Karl Kästner, and they were working together for a very long time in the 30s in the Natural History Museum and developed lots of new techniques. And they had different material. Of course, they already had photographs of an ocelot, and they also had the chance to go to the Berlin Zoo and do own sketches of this animal. Plus, they had a skeleton of it, and this was very helpful to find a good pose and a body form for that animal. And as we can see, this ocelot looks almost like a real one, and this is often the main aim of taxidermy, to present an animal the same way that it looked alive. So also sometimes to bring a character back into the animal. And so I feel like with those two we get a good impression how much progress there was in the technical development of taxidermy in the last years, or last decades. A question that I was also asking myself is when does taxidermy actually started? Or preservation of animals. So, for example, when we think back, in the ancient Egypt, there are also mummifications of cats, of crocodiles, of lots of different animals, but these don't fall under the standard definition of the term taxidermy.